Talk about my beer first. Woo.
Well, we probably should have put some little sleigh bells on the back of that, as it's on its way to Christmas. Nicholas has just had Father Christmas singing outside his doors. I'm guessing it was the Lions sleigh ride, although they've stopped it round our way because they throw bricks at Santa. Some nice young people. So Nicholas didn't throw any
we
bricks.
have been told now they're not allowed to come and knock on doors. But they are contactless as well. So using the excuse, I'm sorry, mate, I ain't got any spare change in my pocket. It's okay. We've got a little widget here that you can make a contribution and buy online. But yeah, they're not allowed to come and knock on people's doors now for whatever reason.
Right. So it's episode 74 of the Malt Travel podcast. At the moment, we are still awaiting Bruce.
We're 2/3 of a pint at the moment.
Yes. We may be stuck on a train again because he's had that kind of recurring theme for most of last week or so. So we're hoping that he will join us. It was his idea to come tonight anyway, because he couldn't do last night. So anyway, we will crack on because what we wanted to do today was have a quick catch up, but also I think we did mention it in our last podcast that Nick and I. Again, Bruce couldn't make it in the end. He went somewhere else in the northeast. We had a little trip to Leeds, to a piece of a bit of Leeds that I haven't been to for a long, long time, Holgate, and actually it was quite interesting. And the point of it was we were using up a Christmas present, and we were going to visit Northern Monk Brewery, and it seemed to be, Nick, that most of the people who were there were also using their Christmas
most of the people that
from 2024.
Birthday vouchers or Christmas vouchers. Yeah.
So anyway, we'll come on to that because it was an interesting couple of hours, and again we did drink a bit of beer, not too much. So that's the plan for episode 74. As we said, we've done a bit of catching up. We've all kind of been on little, I think, fairly solo trips. I don't think you and Bruce have been out for a while, have you? I'm trying to think back. He's got a Sheffield trip to talk about. I think, what have you got to talk about?
He came through with his other half in.
Right. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
He insisted, and we met in the new Philly and Firkin that used to be the Gate, where I used to work many years ago.
Yeah.
That many years ago used to be the roughest pub in Malton, and if any coach trips were coming through to and from the coast from South Yorkshire or West Yorkshire, and they were looking for a fight, they used to stop and say, "Hey, where's the roughest pub in town?" "Oh, go to the Gate, mate." And there used to be a little landlord called Howard, and they used to have a bloody great big fish tank. And how it ever survived, I don't know. And Howard's catchphrase was, what was his missus called? Something like, Janet, call the police, they're fighting. They're fighting. So anyway, I actually worked for Janet and Brian, who took over after Howard and his other half. And it was probably the most popular pub in Malton, certainly for last orders. It's been closed because it's sadly Punch Taverns and Fitzwilliam Estate, and they both want their big slice out of the pie. But they realised after it being closed for 4 or 5 years and it falling to rack and ruin, the estate have put a little bit of money into the building itself because ultimately the building belongs to them. Punch Tavern made out that they were investing £400,000 in getting it back up and open. And they brought in a landlord and landlady who supposedly have between them 60 years of experience.
Yeah.
So Bruce has insisted that we should meet there before we were going to go on to Malta something to eat. I walked up. I fought the welcoming committee of single blokes smoking on the staircase, which was always a problem, but it was even more so. Looked at the bar, saw 2 hand pumps, both with the badges turned round, so no cask beer on board. So I thought, bollocks to this. I'm not going to go in and pay £5 for a bottle of a pint of Madry. So I went up to Envy in the marketplace that trying to think of a name. Gemma always has at least 3 Yorkshire beers on in there. And during the week, between Monday to Friday, between 4 and 6, she has a happy hour. So all her cask beers are £4 a pint. So took Mum and my other half up there, sent Bruce a text message to say, we've swerved the Philly and Firkin because there's no beer on. in the meantime, got myself a pint in there. Then got a message from Bruce that, oh, we're in the Philly and Firkin. Where are you? I'm just ordering a pint and a half of Madry or whatever he was drinking. And phoned him. His other half, Christine, answered and said, oh, he just bumped into no friend. Now, obviously, Bruce was born and bred in Malton. So, yeah, even though he's not lived here for 20 years, he's still got lots of connections. So I said to him, look, Bruce, I've got a beer in here. You've got a beer in there. Just meet us up here. So that's what happened. So I've still not actually gone in and sat in the Philly and Firkin yet and had a beer. It's good to see that it's open. But once again, it's just a bit of a shame that it's still got the grip of a, massive, great pub chain attached to it. I wish the people in there all the best, but I walked past there tonight. And once again, you would think it was a Wetherspoons on a bad night, in that there was a lot of single blokes sat in there nursing the pints of Stella and then just popping out every 5 minutes for a fag on the staircase. The two places that I went to in town instead had a much better selection of beer on, and the, shall we say, the clientele were a lot more cosmopolitan, which made for a nicer atmosphere, put it that way.
You haven't been in the pub yet. And do you know what the new bloke's
called?
All
I have to do is look through the windows, mate, and I can see.
All right, do you know what the new publican's called?
No.
Lloyd Gallen.
All right, okay.
So he's got a very apt name. Right, anyway, let's crack on. So
his partner's called Shirley Tipple or something.
No, she's called Kim Woolley. There we go. Right, so yes, good luck to them, because in most town pubs are closed while they are in Bolton. But so as I say, it's the 4th of December, so it's starting to feel a little bit Christmassy, although we've got a little bit of a while to go. Apparently it's St. Barbara's Day today, which is apparently the patron saint, Nicholas, of armories, artillerymen, and military engineers, and also mathematicians. And Barbara, and she gives the name to barbiturates, which are apparently depressants that cannon blokes used to take. Anyway, it's a bit of a long-winded one. So we will kick off with a little bit of beer news, because there's been quite a bit of news in the national press, actually, as well as the trade press, about Black Sheep, although it's all very confusing. So over the weekend, lots of tweets and things started coming out saying Black Sheep are going to close. Another brewery hits the floor. By Sunday, it was more to do with the Keystone Brewing Group, or the Briar Group, who apparently are Briel, who apparently have bought up lots of breweries, because they also own Purity, Magic Rock, Black Sheep, Four Pure, Brick, Brew by Numbers, Wolfpack, and they're the kind of whatever they are that also do Hofmeister, which we've talked about on the podcast before. But interestingly, since then, there's been lots of.
They have the national license for that. I mean, Magic Rock's closed because there was a dead body of an homeless bloke found in there the other week that was under suspicious circumstances. So they hit the headlines for very much the wrong reasons.
So it's still very unsure what's happening. Basically, it basically now says that Breer Group are not going into administration. What's happening is Black Sheep have appointed an administrator to help them run their business. And in fact, I've just seen the tweeted today, because I'm guessing I'm getting lots of, not bad press per se, but people kind of turning away, saying we are still brewing, we are still delivering, and we are still here. So it sounds like whether it was a marketing scam, remember the Guinness, we're going to run short of Guinness, whether it's one of those sell more beer. Reading it deeper, it says that they had a dip in sales in October and November, and that I'm guessing that hit their cash flow. And I guess if they've been trying to scale up, I presume you've got to buy lots of malt and hops and stuff to get the Christmas trade ready, and that's probably where they've had a cash flow problem.
I think it was getting to bed with the wrong people. They thought, this was happening 18 months ago, and it was a finance group behind and Keystone Brewing Company. But have we ever heard of Keystone Brewing Company?
I'm just trying to read here. Ron Paul that Keystone have gone into. It basically said Keystone have not gone into administration. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that one, because Black Sheep, I don't know. I think a lot of people have been saying they're not quite as good as they were, and obviously they kind of the backstory is, of course, was it Paul Theakston pulled out of the original Theakston Brewery when they got took over by Scottish Newcastle and Courage to set up as independent, and it was a great place in the early days, great little brewery, great tap. But I know, I think Nick, you said last few times you've been to the tap, it's not been quite as good as perhaps it was in in past days.
We haven't been for a long time because
Yeah.
every time you rocked up there, you went up there on a Sunday and they couldn't guarantee that they could feed you. And I mean, I appreciate up in Massam. It's like anywhere else nowadays in the hospitality industry. It's struggling for staff. It's getting dedicated, committed staff who know what they're doing. And there was a lot of young kids running around who weren't really getting any direction anymore, any proper management. And that was the biggest issue, because even when they were telling you, oh, I don't think we can feed you. Well, is that yes or no? And it was like, oh, well, no, probably no then. Just go somewhere else, which it ain't great. So that's why we stopped going up there, to be honest with you.
I mean, I've got to say, last I went
I mean, they were one of the first places. I mean, that brewery tap was lovely. It was a proper brewery tap. It was a comfortable, it was a relaxing place. They had the bar in there, they had the shop in there. It was attached to the brewery. It wasn't just some sort of agricultural shed or some sort of industrial shed, that let's call it a tap. It was a proper, almost like a pub feel to it, because it was part of the old brewery. But as I say, it was just this thing that it was chaos whenever you went in there, really.
And it probably was, thinking back, probably one of the first brewery taps. I think that was part of when he set the bit up, because obviously the White Bear was the traditional Theakston's pub, which is not really a tap; it's the pub next door to the brewery. So again, we'll keep an eye on that. I've got to say, last time I went in the Three-Legged Mare, because they've still got a couple of pubs in York, which was the old York Brewery pubs. That was okay. They had an interesting range of beer on it, and we will say that they have kept on some of the York Brewery beers. I think Terrier is probably the one that they're still doing, and I know they do the others sometimes. But again, let's just look at some other in the mad world of beer. So Wetherspoons, let's pick this one up. Wetherspoons announced that they were opening their first non-UK island, Wetherspoons, which is going to be quite handy if you're flying to Spain to get some hot sun in Alicante Airport. Wonder how
Alicante, here we come.
What they're going to be selling. So the Castel de Santa Barbara is set to welcome punters.
All they have to serve is one type of lager, one flavour of white wine, one flavour of red wine, and that's it.
And they'll be there.
They'll make a huge profit.
Full English breakfast, probably for €3.20 or whatever. So we'll have to try and send one of you over there to have a look at that one. And then it's Pretty Bruce is not with us at the moment, because he bangs on about bloody Altrincham all the time. Well, Altrincham hit the news the other week for slightly, maybe, I don't know. There's a pub in, a bar, I guess it is really, which is actually the Alibi Bar has actually banned Nick's single drinkers. So the Alibi Bar is on a weekend has now stopped single drinkers going in. So you can only go in if you're in a group, which almost kind of contradicts the most of the pubs in York, for example. So again, we'll have to get Bruce to kind of check that one out for us.
No, but I did say that. Yeah, because they'll tend to plonk themselves down on a table for 4 or 5 people. And then they also said they had a lot of single blokes going in there who were just like trying to make friends with folks. A pub is a good environment to make friends, but some bars and some pubs aren't conscious. And the last thing you want is a group of people going out and then some weirdo, freaky stranger tagging onto you and making out your friend. You're either,
I did almost Saturday.
You're quite nice to say, talk to them, or like sort of like, you tell them to do one. So once again, there are certain pubs and bars, I'm sure there are in Altrincham, where individual single people can go in there and start rapport with the people. But that particular bar, I get where they're coming from.
Well, I do. I'm the opposite.
Anyway, I've just opened the bottle, Mike. Are you drinking?
Yeah, Yorkshire tea. Very nice.
Oh, smells lovely and fruit, this one. This is a limited edition Munro Pale Ale, made by Fine Ales. Obviously, I've been up to the brewery, which is at the head of Loch Fyne. Their famous one is probably Jarl, which is their Citra beer, which I remember the guy telling me behind the bar, he reckoned it was better than Oakham Citra. It was good, but it wasn't quite as good. But it's got a lovely little picture on there. This is a limited edition as well. I don't know whether it's done specially for the co-op, because they've got the co-op badge on there. Picked this up in Ambleside. So I'm going to give this one a blast. It's a 4.2. And it looks like a golden ale. I don't have a glass with mountains on, so I put it in my Whitby brewery, so it looks a bit like mountains and the whalebones there. But that's a contentious story if anybody's interested in trying to replace them. But the PC people now are saying, "Oh, you can't use real whalebones because that's horrible and it's terrible and it's disgusting and you shouldn't be importing them." So there's a big dilemma with the council now whether they use original whalebones that they're going to have to bring from Alaska, which they did last time in 2002, or they're going to have 3D plastic printed ones, I think. But there we are.
Oh, good fun. Right. Again, it's Peter Bruce not with us because we could talk about the new Guinness experience, which has recently opened in London, which apparently one of the
It's like Disneyland.
yes, one of the
May as well be.
the great attractions. You can have your photo in the top of your Guinness pint, which again I'm not quite sure. Apparently the reports are very good. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, there we go. They're just cashing in.
Or
And
the outline
again,
of your penis or something.
and Bruce could tell us all about his lovely Sam Smith pubs because there's one opening apparently where there be the Angel Inn coming soon, which he could lax lyrically. And again,
That's
some
the
good
Spoons, not
some
Sam
good
Smith.
news.
Spoons.
Oh, it's Spoons. Sorry, I thought it was Sam Smith.
You said
And
Sam Smith. Spoons. Yeah.
Spoons. And then the other one is that the good news again, probably, if anybody of you know Scarborough, there is a well, I would say there's a pub, I'll say, with a fantastic view, which is the Golden Ball, which has a golden ball hanging outside of it. It's right on the harbour, but it's been shut for a number of years, one of Mr. Smith's. But it has reopened. And if you are in Scarborough, if you can get in early and get in that front window, which again, if you're on YouTube, you can see all lit up there, you do get a fantastic view, don't you, Nick? It's very hard to get a seat in that window.
Yeah. He phoned me the other night and he mentioned about that, and I would agree with him in that it's like you're sat in the not the bow, the stern of the ship, because you're looking over the harbour. And on a cold winter's night, when the spray's coming off the harbour and the rain is hitting that window, because you're elevated up, it almost is like you're sat in the stern of a 18th century sailing boat. So yeah, definitely. I mean the prices used to be good in there, but
yeah. And they did have a little bit of I think I remember there's a room at the back there, and I think there's a little courtyard at the back. Again, you can't. It's a bit like the one outside Yorkminster. You can't believe that this pub's been shut so long because the amount of footfall that this street must get all year round,
it
let
would
alone
potentially have,
in the middle of summer. And again, I was quite shocked, I guess, that this is the only Sam Smith pub in Scarborough.
Yeah.
And I guess that's something to do maybe with the
as a traditional pub, Mike, that's not doing karaoke and stuff like that. I know, you know, there are pubs down the front, and that's how they make their living.
Yeah,
and that's the sort of people they attract. But if you're out as a couple, or even with your family, you know, it's actually it was a quiet pub, but in the prime location, and the same with the view as well. It was a no-brainer, really. So yeah, good luck to the folks who have got that. Once again.
You know, the Sam
unfortunately, Scarborough now is dead during the winter months. You know, you do get a small amount of people. A lot of the caravan and camper van people who used to park on Marine Drive there. Obviously, the council banned them from doing that. There's a debate going on at the moment because I mean, some nights along Marine Drive there, you could get 70 to 80 caravans and camper vans all parked up. And their argument is, look, you know, we're bringing trade into the town. You know, we'll go and use the pubs, we'll use the cafes, the fish and chip shops. But Scarborough Council are saying, yeah, but the downside is the minority of you that are just dumping your litter, you're dumping your Elson toilets on the road. And, you know, we've got a lot of the caravan site and motorhome park owners who are saying, hang on, I'm paying you business rates and business tax, and you're letting people park up for free on a night, whereas they should be parking on my site because that's what I've strived to create here. I've created, you know, a 5-star campsite for motorhomes with hookups and toilet dumping places and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, you're letting people park for free. You know, they're not going to come and use me, are they? So that's a problem in lots of seaside towns now. It's getting that balance of having extra people in town, but at the same time, the negatives of those people and the knock-on effect of, you know, the campsite and the caravan site people owners.
And then just talking about prime locations, Sam Smith's Whitby has two. Well, Whitby does have two Sam Smiths, but at the moment it's only got one. Because again, the Jolly Sailors, which is actually in a similar,
Jolly Sailors is closed,
in a similar position, right on the harbour there. That's been shut for 2 years. So the only one that's open is one that's down Baxter Gate, which again you probably wouldn't know it's there unless the plough.
Oh yeah.
Unless you actually kind of knew where it was. It doesn't tends to kind of. I think they quite like that. They tend to kind of keep themselves away, so only those that know and locals go in there. So, and again, that would would have had a great footfall, but.
Yeah, the Jolly Sailors was very much, I think, quite a local pub, in terms of, you know.
a lot of people on the chat is saying that they did go in there and they do most Sam Smiths do good meals. I actually came across, I don't know if you've seen this. There's actually a guy that actually keeps a weekly record of at all the Sam Smith's pubs. So at the moment he was saying, so it's a guy called Tom Taverner, and he was saying
Say
that
it's not Humphrey, is it?
whilst the Golden Ball in Scarborough reopened, as has the Cull Street Sports Association in Scunthorpe, and he's also saying the Old Bluebell in Preston to reopen soon. So he currently says of the 316 pubs Sam Smiths have, 143 are open and 154 are closed. And it
That's
goes
more than
on
50% of
for
his pubs closed. Bloody hell.
what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 a bit pages of information. So if you want to have a look at that, again, have a look on the socials. I'll look for Sam Smith's Brewery on X. And again, just another news. Again, it's funny in London. So only in London, they are currently selling Yorkshire Stingo. These are Sam Smith's pubs, 8%, but only in the Ultra Cheese, Duke of York, Chandos, and the City of York. And apparently, you can't buy it anywhere else. So they're selling Yorkshire Stingo only in London.
No, well, I
Yorkshire.
remember going to London 3 years ago. I went to Chandos, and I was surprised to see it on cask and hand pull. And I said to the Australian guy behind the bar, I said, "Do you sell a lot of that?" And he went, "Yeah, mate." He said, "The problem is," he says, "people don't realise how strong it is." And I watched a Spanish bloke come in with his wife and get a pint of it, and he literally took one sip out of it and left the rest of it. I mean, it's not cheap, but at 8%, if you don't know what you're drinking, like I said, I'm amazed to see they sell it in pints. I said, I remember there was a pub in Sheffield where they would only serve you in thirds, A, because most people tasted it and complained and asked for the money back, and B, because of the strength of it. And once you'd had a third, if you were still standing, you could have another third. People might remember it, the Frog and Parrot. If Gussie's listening, you'll remember it, mate, because you had an episode with it. But yeah, you used to have it in thirds, and that's the only way they would sell it to you. Because ultimately, if you'd ordered a pint, it was going to be 7 or 8, 12 quid anyway. And most people say took one sip and said, "I'm not drinking that. Give me money back." So yeah, to see old Stingo on pints in the
wood.
Chandos,
and a very ornate beer handle by the looks of it. It looks like a porcelain one. Anyway, there we go. And then Nick's already mentioned that the big news from Malton was that the Philly and Flagon of the old gate has reopened, and we've talked about that one. So beery highlights. So Bruce can't tell us about his trip to Capital in Sheffield, which looks quite interesting. I think it's one of these foodie places, isn't it? These kind of there's a lot of things in one area, pop-up food. So we'll skip that one. I just
wanted mountains and bower buns, no problem. No, like
I just wanted to mention a couple of pubs. One is that I've not been in for a while, and I'm sorry, it's a very blurry picture. Nick, you've been in the Boat and Horses. So I think when you come down for Christmas, I'll be taking you back into the Boat and Horses. Just one, I think, pub of the pub of the season. It's actually one of the guys who used to run or be one of the bar staff in Mellards. And he's taken on the Boat and Horses, which is an interesting pub because it's about 400 years old. It was actually the Canal Terminal, which is no longer there. So it seems a strange name in a landlocked town like Newcastle on the Lyme. But I mean, again, on Saturday I think they had 7 real ales on. They always have Bass on. They had Obsidian. They had a New World Pale Textile. They had a really good beer, and he's really looking after it. It's got its coal fires at Bruce, so very, very good. And again, a pub that featured.
It always felt like a community pub to me. Yeah. You know, you got a cosmopolitan audience.
Oh yeah, and it was
seemed to be like a bit of a rock element. You know, guys in leather jackets and goth-looking lasses in there, and when you used to take me in there, it was almost a bit cosmopolitan. And even though it's not by the canal, there's a stream running down the other side of it, isn't there?
No, it's not. Well, there is. Yeah, you're not far away. The brook is the Lyme Brook is a bit further away.
Brook,
but the canal used to be in front of it where the road is. And then we obviously had the budget last week, and again we talked about pub closures. I mean, there was quite a few featured, and they were talking that straight away the budget is going to put the average pub business rate up by 1,400 in the next financial year. And by the end of 2029, it will have increased £12,000. So, and I've seen lots of, that means I've got to sell whatever 400 more pints a week to meet the needs. But they featured the what's it in the Swan in York was the pub that they were chatting to pubbers in, and it's a pub that we've been to a few times. So I thought,
At least Heritage Pub.
yeah, very nice little pub.
Yeah,
And Bruce could have told us about the Coal Pits Hotel, which he did on one of his little northeast trips again, but he's not here, so we'll move on. And I'm conscious we've only got
that's Sam Smith, isn't it?
A couple of minutes left. So, Nick, you've also made a little bit of a journey to Whitby on your regular haunts, but you've spied out for us the Helmsley Tap, which is in the old Wesleyan Chapel, which was for a time a bric-a-brac kind of jumbly saley place all the time. Then it went to being a posh restaurant.
For a while.
Then it became an antique shop with a cafe shop, and now it's a fully placed bar. So you've got a minute to tell us about it.
Hammond's Jets Museum in there. Yeah, I mean, I talked about Scarborough about 10 minutes ago. How Scarborough used to be the place for everybody to descend on. Scarborough's a ghost town now compared to Whitby. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't recommend going to Whitby on a weekend because there are a couple of bus companies from North East who are just shipping people in to get absolutely rat-assed. And Whitby is a place where every building that is empty and it is being renovated is being turned into a bar. Now, I'm not criticising Helmsley Brewery for doing this. Helmsley Brewery, great brewery. I've been to their tap in Helmsley itself. They've decided to expand, and fair play to them. They've seen that Whitby is on the up as far as hospitality and people going there to drink is concerned. And once you get a good mixture of people, you'd certainly get some older couples going there. It's still a quaint place to go and visit and have 2 or 3 days, midweek, certainly. So this spot has been used for many different things. Helmsley Brew have taken it on board. It's nice to see the building still up and running. There are a lot of distinctive original features in there, including the tiling in the corridors and actually the main building itself, which, Michael, you'll be familiar with coming from the potteries. No doubt they were produced by some company, the potteries. It was ticking over nice and steady. Took my mother in there. She enjoyed her latte. I had 2 different pints of Helmsley beer within the space of 40 minutes. There was a couple of smaller groups of chaps who were obviously early retired, ticking off. So it's nice cosmetology gathering place, and it's good to see it being used.
Very good. Right, we're going to have a break, and we're going to come back and tell you a little bit about our trip to Leeds.
Have you had a reply from Bruce?
No.
Okay.